Good morning, friends. Welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to go through the property and look at some of the storm damage that we sustained yesterday. Yesterday, a huge, massive front came through basically the whole eastern side of the United States. And with it were torrential downpours, high winds, we had some thunder, not a massive amount of lighting, but it was quite the system that came through. So we had posted some pictures on social media of the flooding that was occurring yesterday afternoon, and thank you for all your thoughts and prayers for us. I will say that really what you're looking at behind us of the dry storage is, I would say, the worst of the damage that we sustained. Praise the Lord. Everything else is just something that we can easily fix, and but there were some deaths within our region due to tornadoes coming through. So by all means, we are extremely grateful and feel very blessed that we only received the damage that we did. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are with those who suffered tragic loss and catastrophic damage to their property. With that being said, we're going to go through and kind of look and see what happened, the damage and the things that did great, that did really well. Jerry is very much a man on a mission. We'll get to that part in just a second. But here we are at production. This first structure is what we call dry storage. It was a greenhouse that we repurposed because it literally is just a dry storage building. It is not heated. It houses a lot of fertilizer, and right now pots that we will have for production. After the 6.5 inches of rain, yes, that's right, 6.5 inches of rain. I looked at our rain gauge last night and that's what it read. The winds started, and obviously they came through and just completely ripped the plastic off of the dry storage. This was just a single layer of poly plastic, just solid white, because in greenhouses you have clear so that the UV can get through it. This was just a solid one to try to keep out the heat and the sun, and you can see that it just absolutely ripped it. So the plan was that we were going to go ahead and turn this into like a heated storage space, heated growing space, and that just got probably moved to the tippy top of the list because we're supposed to have more rain, I believe, on Friday. Today is Wednesday, and so either we move stuff or we get this covered before Friday. I'm not sure. That will to be determined, but yes. So everything else, all the other greenhouses, handled everything like a champ. So the two production houses right beside dry storage, you can see they are intact. We haven't taken the shade cloth off from last summer, so once the plants go in, obviously that needs to come off. But everything is nice and tight and snugged in. They are very happy, so that is great. No damage to the annex, which we are grateful for. And then of course, the brand new production greenhouse, it handled everything like a champ as well. So there was absolutely no damage there. And on a very positive note, when we were grading the land for the construction of this new production greenhouse, we before had water issue where it comes out of the woods here and it would come down and then make its way across the shrub lot. So Jason, who is an amazing man, he's the owner of the company that does all the land grading for us. And then Frank is the operator. So what they did was they created, I think you can see, this really big swell. This is actually where they took out soil to build up the pad for the greenhouse. And I think you can clearly see that is exactly where the water went. So what happens is, because we always say, right, here at Creekside, nothing is flat. Nothing. And we are called Creekside for a reason. The creek literally cuts our property in half, and we get water from both directions. Well, I would say 3 directions, right? We get it from down upstream, it comes down to us, and then we get it shedding off, coming towards the creek. We get massive loads of water. Also, this 6.5 inches that we got yesterday was in less than 24 hours. We can handle that. That's not a problem. But if you remember, like a couple weeks ago, we had 7 inches of rain. Between the 7 inches and the 6 inches, we've had like 4 inches. We've had an inch here, we've had an inch there. So the ground is beyond saturated. So it just has nowhere to go, and it runs and it goes towards the creek. That is why we do what we do here at Creekside as far as how we grade. We are constantly thinking, where's the water going to go? Because it's not a matter if the water's going to come to us, it's when is the water going to come to us, and you never know. So we constantly have to be thinking about that. You can see that the water is still running, and it is coming, and this is woods. So this is not like stripped land, but it is coming through here. It is still flowing quite well. You can see all of the debris that has been washed, and then it just trickles on down, and it will, because the creek runs all like right through here, right? So it comes this way and then goes down to the nursery. So it is doing exactly what we wanted it to do. You can see a little bit, I think, right here on the other side of the propane tank. That is water that came off from the greenhouse that is then coming here and going out. So yay for that. The shrub lot looks amazing. No, there is no wash on it. There's no gravel. All the plants are still great. Everything is fine. So let's go look at some more damage. Praise the Lord. Like I said, dry storage was the absolute worst. But now we just have a mess. We have messes everywhere. So, because we had rivers running through our property. So let's go take a look at that and find out the fun that Jerry's up to right now. It's not really fun. It's not really a happy man right now. All right, so I am standing on the road that goes to production. So I just came from production and I'm headed like towards the house or the retail greenhouse. This is an area that we had massive flooding. Massive flooding. So let me just give you a perspective of where we are, okay? So I'm gonna flip the camera around so you can see, right? So our house is right over here on the other side of the hill, and then retail greenhouses are down here. All right, this is, if you remember when we were at Mimi's and we were doing a garden tour, so this is Mimi's house is in the woods here. This is what we call the walnut field because it has walnut trees in it. This is the edge where her sun gardens are. Again, nothing is flat. We get water from everywhere. This is the power line that obviously runs power. So we get all the wash from all of our road from way up high, and it comes down here, and there's a natural swell, right, that comes here. Then of course we have the road. Well, we had to build up the road because it's a road. When we did, we put in a pipe. So there's a black corrugated pipe right here. It's probably a 10-inch, I would say a 10-inch pipe, and then it runs under the road, and then here we go. And then down here, then the creek is just right here, okay? So where we just did the privacy screen at the signature garden, it's on the other side of the creek, and it's like right here, okay? So that gives you some perspective. Jerry came through, and this, as you can see, where the water was coming over because of the debris. The debris tells you where the water was. And so basically it started here, and it goes way, if you can see all those pine needles. So this entire road was completely covered in rushing water. And this is what I'm talking about, like the nuisance. So it washed out the backside of the road a bit because this was elevated. I think you can probably see the difference here. So all of that is washed. Our lovely, expensive gravel is now all in the road, and you can see that it just completely washed. We have a huge pile of gravel sitting right here. So it is just a huge mess right here. This is typically a grass, and I mow it. So I'm gonna be shooting rocks for all summer long, but probably because trying to get all that gravel out is going to be quite difficult. So what we'll have to do is, I'm sure, bring in more gravel, shore this up. But typically this does not flood, right? This is not normal. Normally the culvert is completely fine. The pipe can handle all that water and it's great. This is an abnormal experience for us. Yes, we could probably come in here and put a bigger drain pipe in there, but that in this case, it still would not have mattered. You would have to put a massive, massive culvert in there. We're not doing that because that's not normal. So yeah, big, huge wash right here. Let's head to the nursery because got some updates over there. All right, so here we are standing at the crossing of the creek going over to the nursery, and you can probably hear and see behind me that we have a tractor trailer unloading. So this is our commercial, like professional rather, not commercial, professional potting soil that we're gonna use to pot up like all the annuals and all the perennials and all those things. So we've been anticipating this arrival for a couple of weeks now, and yeah, the truck driver showed up last night about 9 o'clock, and so he spent the night on Pine Hollow, our road, and came down this morning. So this is Berger soil, which we are switching to Berger this year, and it comes from Canada, and it is in, as you can see, a covered trailer. So Andrew's in the truck with pallet jacks, moving the pallets to the back of the truck so that Jerry can then take the Bobcat and unload them. So that's what's happening there. We might get more into that today. If not, we'll do that on another video. There's a lot happening this morning. Standing here at the culvert. Now, this is where we have, we had major flooding, but y'all, as awful as it looks, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. In the fact of, you can see, so basically this hole where it's in the shade was completely underwater, but it doesn't come this way. The lowland is towards the nursery, and so we have a very large pipe. You can see here that water was rushing down towards the creek. This is all debris that was upstream that got caught and was actually over on the road. But yeah, okay, let's go back over here. So let me just show you the pipe here. So everything, you can see the vegetation that's laid down. So all of this was underwater. It did not come up into the flower beds, which is great. This is typically a very sleepy little creek, and it is running still pretty good this morning. So you can see that is the pipe. I'm gonna guess and say that's a 3-foot pipe. But yeah, so it comes just pouring, I mean absolutely pouring down the creek. So this was completely all underwater yesterday. Comes through, and then what happens is it will go over the road, but it also comes here and goes that way because it's lower that way, which is really, like I said, kind of what we want it to do. So it was quite a sight for sure. Now, before I cross the creek, I do want to give you a bit of a positive thing that worked really well. If you remember, this time last year we had, of course, normal rain, and we had this new flower bed that was installed within the last 2 years. And in the wintertime we had normal rain, but it cut through the flower bed. So it was Jerry's idea, and then Andrew installed it for us, designed it, installed it, where we put these basically dry creek beds right here. This is that beautiful flower bed to the entrance of the nursery. So we've got big, huge pieces of flagstone, decorative pea gravel here, and then we also have it here because this was exactly where the water cut through, so we could see exactly where the water was flowing. So Andrew put in all of that big stone, and look, y'all, it held beautifully. There is not one washed out rut in the flower bed. We have not done any kind of repair, so it looks great. Notice the decorative pea gravel is still there. We had very minimal wash through here. So huge success story on that, where all that water flowed and did exactly what we wanted it to do. Just kind of to prove my point here. So we're walking down here to the end, and you can see if anywhere where we needed to maybe put some big huge rocks would be right here on the edge. But you can see just minimal amount of that decorative rock, and it really honestly probably came from right here. So huge success on that. So that did exactly what we wanted it to do. Now let's walk across to the nursery over here into the pines, because that is where we have we had rivers run through the property, coming through, and you can also see as we go across all the wash, right? So there's not supposed to be gravel here, or old trash. This completely washed out. In fact, you can see where my daylilies are starting to pop up right here. So we lost a ton of gravel here, down here. It just came and ran over here. There's probably some big stones down there. Coming across here, you can see, I think, just the absolute wash that happened right here. So all of the water is designed to come across, flow here. You can see our employees are here this morning, and then it comes, and then all of this was underwater, and then it flows back down into the creek right here. So it did what it was supposed to do, but it moves a ton of water. So that's what happens there. Now, as we go across here into the pines, another area, and this really only happens in major water. To give you a bit of a perspective, and it's going to be kind of hard to do it with me and just doing the GoPro today, but here we are right in the pines where Unique Stone is. I think you should be able to see that way back in the back there, the lay of the land, that's much higher. So we get all the water that comes through the woods, and it comes, one part comes down through here and rushes through. You can see we still have water trickling. You see all the pine needles that are disturbed. So it came through, I'm not sure, we have this footage that Megan took, and I'm not sure if it's here where the water was just rushing through. I think it is, but it just came and just poured down right there. But it does that kind of throughout as we're walking down. This is like a road that comes through here, but you can just see just the water and everything. So it always finds its way to the creek, which is great. You can see Jackson's bridge that he had got washed out, but the creek is nice and clean now. Anything that was in the creek got washed out, so there you go. But we just get tons of water through here coming off of the woods, and but everything is, obviously there's a lot, we're going to have to do a lot of regrading, because it is just a disaster as far as that goes. So we're going to walk up here to, let me show you some things up here as far as us getting into. We did have just a little bit, and I say a little bit of damage, but you see it just water just flowed all the way down through here. We get a huge river through this area, and the thing is, I have zero footage of that. It would be a sight to see the water coming off of this hill, but we can't get to it because the creek cuts our property in half. There is absolutely, once the flood waters come up, there's absolutely no way for us to get over here. If we were to come over here, we would literally have to drive 10 minutes around and then cut through the woods. So that is a downside, and there's nothing we can do about it. It is what it is. And if you're familiar with water, when it runs, there is no stopping it. And so if you can see here in The shade growing area, you'll see some of the pots are laying down. That is water. If you can see the exposed black landscape fabric, that's where the water completely came through and washed it, because the pine needles had fallen and had covered it. This bare spot, this is one of those rivers that came through here and just washed it. The quote worst damage is over here on the back side, because again, there's a river that comes through here, comes down, and then you can see the hellebores. The hellebores got washed away, but good news is they didn't go terribly far. All this exposed soil, all that was just rivers just running through, and it actually goes all the way through the woods, and then down to the creek. So that is that. If you see Jackson's out exploring and checking out the damage, this is the area that Brenda and I walk in the morning. So she and I came through. She was a quite happy dog, running through all of the massive standing water, running water still, and the mud. So she was having a grand old time here. Let's see, let me go this way. All right, I'm gonna pop over here. I think it was Laura's bed. We had the gardens behind the retail greenhouse. Let me show you some of that damage. All right, here we are going across the bridge. We have a dry creek bed, and look, none of the stones moved. Praise the Lord. But you can see that the water was running through here because of the debris. Laura's bed held really well, but when you come here to the side, really behind the greenhouse, there are daylilies in there, and you can see massive water was coming through here. And again, y'all, it's coming off the woods. That is natural woods. This is what this property does, and it just was probably absolutely a gushing river coming down through here. It did move some of that rock, and then of course there's mud in there. But then as the water went through, the rocks held. So praise the Lord for that. But yeah, this whole entire bank on this side was just a rushing river. Now, let's go look really quick. The next thing I want to show you, we'll just talk and walk as we go. Signature garden. We had some, again, massive flooding at the signature garden, as it is very close to the creek. So we'll go over there, but the damage there was minimal. The house gardens, everything looks amazing. It is, again, when we built our house, that was designed for water to flow in the ways that it does. It has held that. So we have zero wash there. The chicken coop looks great. Hydrangea Hill, cottage garden, all of that looks amazing. The dahlias, everything there, backyard beds, everything had held and did exactly what it did. Water just flowed over it. All right, now here we are. I am very, very happy to report that the signature garden did great. We know that we have that water comes this way, again, because it comes off the hill. We have springs, so it comes here, and then as you can see, it did what it was supposed to. We're probably gonna have to add gravel here, the big stone, but it came here, stopped as far as the mud, and then the water just went down the dry creek bed. So that is a huge blessing. The gardens themselves look great. Yes, within the beds, there's a little bit of movement of the compost and the mulch, but they are fine. And then the pansies that we planted the afternoon before, look at them. Bless their little hearts. I mean, they're definitely got, some of them got their face down on some of them, but for the most part, look at that. I mean, did really, really well. Very minimal water movement. Everybody is nice and perky. I am extremely happy with how all of that worked. You can see here, we have a little bit of wash. Clearly the water, because this is graded this way, and we had a little bit of overflow right here. Y'all, for 6.5 inches of rain, I'll take that. Yeah, not a problem whatsoever. The new, we did have an area right here, flower bed, that we put in alongside the creek. you can see that everything held really well, except for right here. So this is where an area where the creek overflowed and it came through. I mean, you can clearly see where the mulch has been moved. The plants though, I mean, we've got a Rose of Sharon back here and she's doing good. She's holding on. It was just this barberry right here, got a little washed out. Clearly we will come back and we will shore all of this up. But you can just see, you know, where the creek is coming here, and that's 6 or 7 feet down. Obviously it clogged up here. It was flowing completely over here underneath that holly tree, all through here, and then this is just where it got backed up, and then it came over and, as you can see, was rushing down. Jerry was able to get a picture of this from across the creek, and it was just completely covered in water. The quote, most major damage we had at the Signature Garden was here on the edge of the wall, where water was absolutely swirling. So clearly we're gonna have to come back here and fix this wall where it washed out. It's not fallen, it's fine right now. Clearly it can't leave it that way. But water was just coming down here. There is that culvert pipe and just swirling all through here. So we have we've got some work to do on the wall here. Clean up the pipe a little bit. You can just see where it eroded. But again, tons and tons of water. And you can see that it did go ahead and go across the shrub lot. You can see where all the debris is. So it was all the way up. Again, here's soil from the creek bank that is over here. But all of this was underwater. The plants did not move. We had a couple of them that laid down, but nobody really moved. So again, we are incredibly grateful, thankful that this is the worst. This is it. You know, we can handle this and we can fix this. Yeah, never boring here. I tell you, never boring around here at Creekside. So. We'll get all this fixed. And again, we are incredibly grateful to the Lord for protecting us and protecting the property, and for allowing us to have only the damage that we did. And our prayers, of course, for everybody that sustained much worse damage, and those people who were killed within the storm. So again, thank you for all of your love and your support and your thoughts and your prayers and your well wishes and all your comments. We greatly appreciate it. It is a Creekside community around here for sure, and we adore you, and we are so incredibly blessed to have you as part of our community. All right, so we're gonna get on to the day. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.